Hello, my name is Jethro Buck and I'm a painter. I'm based in London, UK. I have a particular interest in Indian miniature painting. Ever since about 10 years ago I first fell in love with this amazing art form. I was on holiday in India for the first time, travelling around, and it was when I got to Udaipur that I came across these incredible paintings and workshops everywhere where there's lots of people painting works for the tourist market predominantly. And I was with my friend Elsie Phipps, who's also a painter, and we peered into a workshop and we saw 4 guys busy working away, and they were mixing their colours in pots like this. And well, one guy was mixing the colours, another person was drawing out a court scene, someone else was filling in, and another person was using a squirrel hair brush like this to do tiny details. And I was instantly hooked. I just felt like, this is fantastic, look at this process, looks awesome. And it felt like peering back through time into an atelier that could have been hundreds of years old. In fact, the guy claimed that his dad taught him, and his father's father was in the atelier of the Mughal courts painting scenes back then. And whether or not that's true, I don't know, but the fact that it could be, I'm sold. I'm like, wow, this is brilliant. And I've been trying to find this shop actually. I've been back to Udaipur and I couldn't, unfortunately, remember the name of it. So if you are watching this and it's a long shot, if you remember my face, I met you 10 years ago, and this little initial interaction we have kind of, in one way or another, changed the course of my life, and I'd like to thank you for that. I went into the shop and I saw this process, and I just said, can I just watch, please? I want to watch this and observe. And I was already a painter. I'd done a BA and I was working in a school as an art technician at the time, working on my own work. I was actually doing big abstract gestural paintings, but anyway, I was fascinated by this process, and I said, could I just observe? And they said, sure. And I sat down and watched for about 2 hours, and I loved it. And eventually I bought a painting from them and went on my way. But I kept thinking about it, and the next day I thought, I want to go back to that place. And I did, and I went back and I opened the door, and they kind of laughed to see me again. And I said, can you teach me? Or at least something? And they sort of said, okay. And they kind of just put me to work. I was mixing colour with my finger and some water, just like this, for hours. And they very kindly gave me a brush, which I did some doodles with. Had no idea what I was doing, and I was fascinated by their skill and their ability to do these tiny details and tiny bits of shading. And after when I got back to England, I started to try and paint using these techniques. I bought some gouache paint and I tried myself, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But I was having fun with the process, and I thought I should learn this properly. So I applied for a grant from Indian National Trust for Art and Cultural Heritage, which was seen too good to be true. A friend pointed me in the direction, and it was for English artists or English people who wanted to learn an Indian craft. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is me, I want to do that, I'm going to apply. And luckily I got the grant and quit my job as a technician and found Ajay and Vanita Sharma through various avenues. I've got Olivia Fraser to thank for that. She pointed me in the direction of Ajay. A few other people, Alexander Gorlitsky. Anyway, I found Ajay and Vanita Sharma in Jaipur, and they very kindly and patiently took me on for 3 months, and they taught me the processes step by step, from getting the paper from Sanganer, just outside Jaipur. He taught me how to make brushes. I didn't really make many brushes, but at least I know the process of how to make it, and we we did lots of copies of old miniatures, and yeah, I learned how to do it, and it was great. And it was 3 months which transformed the way I paint and transformed the way I see the world. There's a Marcel Proust quote which I like, which says, the true voyage of discovery consists not in seeing new landscapes, but having new eyes. And this really gave me new eyes to look at the world and to be in the world. It's quite a meditative process. You have to really slow down. I think that's the main thing I learned from it. Everything takes a long time. Just making currier, which is the base white, we did on the first day I met Ajay. He said, okay, you need to get this, it's like a chalk stone, we need to turn it into nice smooth paint. And I was mixing, and I was quite impatient. I was like, I want to know how to do a sari and the details. I want to know how to do transparent layers. Well, first of all, just mix this. So Ajay made me mix it. And I did it from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, and I thought, wow, this is taking a long time. But he told me that he mixed paint for 6 months or maybe a year before he was even given a brush. So that really put things in perspective of the time required to do things properly. I did say, is that necessary to become a proper miniature painter? And he said, no. So, it's just a test of patience. Anyway, so this was great. I learned 3 months of Ajay, and then after that I went to the Prince's School of Traditional Arts, where I learned further sacred and traditional art forms from around the world. We did icon painting, Persian painting, methods and materials from the great David Cranswick, where he taught us further how to make paint from. This is from malachite, which is a copper stone, lapis lazuli blue, where you crush stones up and clean the water and mix it with gum arabic, or you can mix it with oil to make oil paint, which is another. I sometimes do oil paints as well. We did geometry, lots of stained glass window making, and so we learned loads of crafts, which was fascinating. And I have been painting, but I always wanted to specialise in this miniature painting technique, and I've been using this technique ever since. I work with Ajay and Vinita, and I apply this art form to painting the natural world. That's what I like to paint. I'm fascinated by animals, by plants, the life force, the endless mystery that animates this world is what I guess I'm exploring.